Members, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the meeting today. We have a quorum at the appointed time. I call the meeting to order. Item 1. Information paper issued since the last meeting. Since the last meeting, the Secretariat issued one information paper. This has to do with a follow-up item from a meeting with district councillors held in May. For details, members can refer to the agenda. Item 2, items for discussion at the next meeting. For the next regular meeting, which will be held on the 6th of October, that's Tuesday at 4:30 p.m. It's still roughly 3 months until the next meeting. In light of that, I will talk to the administration about the items for discussion at that meeting, and then I will let members know through the secretary in due course. Any other comments on this arrangement? If not, we move on to the third item, and that is the latest progress in the low-altitude economy infrastructure planning and related work, that is. I now invite the government officials to join us. Members who wish to speak, please press the request to speak button now. This item has to do with a legislative proposal. For that reason, all eligible members, including non-panel members, are invited to join us for the discussion. We welcome Ms. Zhong Hong, Deputy Secretary for Transport and Logistics, and also Ms. Clara Wong, from the Deputy Director General of Civil Aviation. The PowerPoint slides were forwarded to members before the meeting for reference. I now give the floor to Ms. Zhong Hong, who will take us through the paper. We have a number of items lined up for today, so please limit yourself to 5 minutes. Thank you, Chairman. Good afternoon, everyone. I will give a brief presentation on the latest progress in the government's effort to promote the low-altitude economy. The LAE is our country's strategic emerging pillar industry. The National 15th Five-Year Plan clearly proposes promoting the healthy and orderly development of the LAE. To align with that, the SCR government set up the working group on developing LAE, led by the Deputy Financial Secretary, who lead the relevant bureaus and departments in taking forward the work. We focus on institutional innovation and technological breakthroughs, which want to turn Hong Kong into an internationally competitive LAE ecosystem and position Hong Kong as an Asia-Pacific hub for innovative low-altitude applications. We have already regularized a number of sandboxes under the regulatory sandbox regime. The Civil Aviation Department has also issued advisory circulars. So far, 115 applications have been approved. On this basis, the government rolled out the advanced version of the regulatory sandbox to test 5 projects of greater technical complexity. 100 applications have been received, 33 have been shortlisted for testing in batches. Those pilots started progressively in the first half of this year. We want to test different projects for viability. We also want to build experience and gather data as a basis for policymaking. As a key part of the regulatory sandbox, the government is working with the mainland about test flight for cross-boundary LAE, and hopefully they will lay the foundation for cross-boundary application. Well-developed infrastructure is also essential to the safe and efficient operation of low-altitude flying activities. For that, the CAD has started a technical study. This study will look at Hong Kong's actual needs. We will also benchmark our practice with that overseas and in the mainland. We will also gather the feedback of stakeholders. We will look at the key technical specifications, regulatory requirements, interoperability frameworks, and also the vertiport of the smart low-altitude air transport management system. This system should provide digitalized services, and it should provide data across the whole journey. The preparations are underway. we expect the services to be rolled out for the initial phase in 2028. The government will also continue to improve civil aviation legislation. The first exercise was completed last July. That amendment had to do with regulations for drones weighing over 25 kilograms and up to 150 kilograms, and also there were new provisions in the Air Navigation Hong Kong order to facilitate trial operations. We will also make dedicated subsidiary legislation for unconventional aircraft, so that we strike a balance between innovation and public as well as public security. So that regime will cover a range of areas, including passenger safety, cargo logistics, and also insurance. The government will consider the latest technology, global practice, feedback from stakeholders, and also experience from the sandbox as we improve the regulatory framework. We will strive to complete the legislation within next year, and then in parallel, we will also get the support measures right to make sure the framework can be implemented. The working group is working on the action plan on developing low-altitude economy. This action plan will focus on standard setting and supporting LAE businesses in going global. The government will work with all sectors and take part in discussions at different levels so that we can have a framework of low-altitude economy standards benchmarked against international standards, and Hong Kong can play its role as a super connector and super value adder in providing a full range of professional services in supporting mainland firms in going global. The working group will support the holding of expos in Hong Kong and also explore opportunities for visits. That's all for my presentation. I welcome questions from members. Thank you. The low-altitude economy is a community-wide concern, so many members are waiting to speak. 12 members are waiting to speak. Here's the order: Mr. Chen Xiuhong, Mr. Andrew Lam, Mr. Dennis Leung, Mr. Lothair Lam, Mr. Lau Ka-keung, Mr. Andrew Fan, Ms. Elizabeth Kwok, Mr. Perry Yu, Mr. Sunny Tan, Mr. Chan Pok-chi, and Ms. Vivian Kong. We have 45 minutes for this item, so let's do 3 minutes per member. Mr. Chen Xiuhong. So 3 minutes, question and answer inclusive. 3 years ago, the focus was on regulation. The drones allowed were only those weighing less than 25 kilograms. 3 years later, we have not just sandboxes. We have also started work on the smart low-altitude traffic management system. I welcome this. We're trying to go full steam ahead with the Northern Metropolis. The LAE is crucial to the NM. My question is, will there be airspace in the NM as a flight corridor? And in that corridor, we can have infrastructure such as vertiports, communication systems, and also meteorological facilities. My next question has to do with the setting of standards. Paragraphs 18 and 20. The way forward. Government departments in Hong Kong take part in the making of standards for hydrogen energy. We want to support our country's development. We want to integrate ourselves into our country's engine for growth. So I say we should take part in our country's effort in setting standards for the low-altitude economy. Hong Kong offers complex application scenarios. We build on that, and then we can help turn our standards into our national standards. Deputy Secretary. The first question has to do with the positioning of vertiports. As I said in the slide, the CAD is conducting a technical study. Our goal is to complete the study within next year. That study will cover the flight routes and the vertiports. The study will come up with recommendations. We're not waiting for the completion of the study. Such discussions are underway at the working group chaired by the DFS. For cross-boundary logistics, will there be suitable site in the northern metropolis? Will there be suitable airspace? The Transport and Logistics Bureau has a scheme for the logistics park in Hongshou-Q. We are conducting studies in parallel on setting standards. We are on board with Mr. Chen, with relevant mainland authorities such as the Civil Aviation Administration of China and also local government. We work closely together. Hong Kong has a role, and it's a key role. We play such a role in working with the mainland. Mr. Andrew Lam. I have a question about cross-boundary logistics. Paragraph 6 says that the SAR government is working with the mainland on cross-boundary applications, and this includes planning flight routes, customs clearance, and also the requirements of infrastructure. The Deputy Secretary mentioned ongoing studies about the technical requirements, but what about the laws and regulations? Paragraph 5 and also footnote 3 say that so many things are subject to discussion. My question is this. The principal legislation dedicated to the northern metropolis will be enacted this year, and then there will be subsidiary legislation. Logistics will be a key part of the laws. Can this upcoming dedicated legislation deal with some of the issues about logistics? If yes, what issues can we deal with through those pieces through the dedicated legislation? Deputy Secretary. Last year, we amended the law for cross-boundary flight. The legal framework is already in place, so the flying activities are covered. On cross-boundary logistics, our work with the mainland now focuses on customs clearance. There is no cross-boundary logistics in the mainland. That's why we have to secure the central authorities' consent, and this will be the first trial. On the dedicated legislation for the NM, we are studying the matter, such as streamlining town planning processes, and also the cross-boundary flow of personnel and materials. If needed, we can work with the Development Bureau on making use of that dedicated legislation to speed up the process.
Mr. Dennis Lang. Thank you, Chairman. I represent the FTU in following up on LAE. Over the past 3 to 4 years, the government departments did visit the mainland and went to many different aircraft companies. Last week, I met with the Civil Aviation Department. I have some suggestions. Low-altitude economy is more than just a logistics and transport system. This is a new industry. Is a future industry of ours. It should contribute to our local economy. I hope that the government will work on it, especially on the vertiport issue. We have to look at where in Hong Kong we can build such vertiports. for unmanned aircraft to carry goods or people, or rather passengers. I hope that the government will come up with a plan by the end of this year. On the development of unmanned aircraft, we have to train the operators, we have to grant licenses to them, maintenance, repair of parts are involved. Can we actually help enterprises go global? Can we help mainland unmanned aircraft manufacturers go global in the sense that they build the factories here and sell their products elsewhere? This is how we tell good stories of Hong Kong and our country. In order for us to develop low-altitude economy, safety is of paramount importance. We do have a registration process for unmanned aircraft. Each aircraft should be managed by a dedicated person. If the aircraft deviate from their air routes, can anyone intervene and overtake control to prevent accidents? Is there any alert system on the streets so that when an unmanned aircraft crash, pedestrians will be alerted to reduce injuries and fatalities? I hope that the government will also include that in the action plan. Operators control their unmanned aircraft. They need infrastructures, and I think that the government should monitor them closely. And the government should work on trialing unmanned aircraft carrying goods, because all these have to do with laws and regulations as well as customs clearance. Deputy Secretary, I thank Mr. Lam for the suggestions. On anti-illegal operation of unmanned aircraft is one of our functions in our air control system. In our system, we pre-approve flight path of unmanned aircraft. If there's any form of uncooperation from the operators, we will work with the police. The member asked how low-altitude economy will contribute to Hong Kong. The market here may not be large, but I think that we can serve as a demonstration zone. We can help mainland enterprises go global. In the regulatory sandbox, many mainland enterprises told us that they wanted to make use of Hong Kong as a stepping stone to sell to other markets. Next, Mr. Lothar Lam. Thank you. The development of low-altitude economy in Hong Kong is far slower than that in Shenzhen. I support the paper. I think that we need to speed up our development. Hong Kong have many skyscrapers. It's difficult for us to promote the use of unmanned aircraft here. So I think that we need to make good use of the northern metropolis. In Hung Shui Kiu, Ha-Chun, it will be developed into a modern logistics hub. I think that is suitable for us to promote cross-boundary logistics there. I have a few questions. When the Secretary answered an oral question in the LegCo, they said that the government is working with the mainland departments in promoting cross-boundary flow of logistics. They are streamlining customs clearance, they are speeding up the construction of infrastructures, so on and so forth. And in paragraph 5, it is said that there are still the selection of applications under the cross-boundary application model is still subject to discussion. What is the progress of discussion with Guangdong or Shenzhen? Second, we have staged many shows with unmanned aircraft or drones. Is there any room for us to expand the application scenarios for drones? Third, The CAD is offering a clear guidance for use of unmanned aircraft for, say, material lifting, construction site inspection, after passing the order last year. In the future, unmanned aircraft will be used for commercial or business purpose. Do we need another piece of legislation or subsidiary legislation to regulate the goods that can be transported by unmanned aircraft? Deputy Secretary. Regarding the second and the third questions, I will ask Principal Assistant Secretary Mr. Wong to answer it. I will take the first question. Like our neighboring cities, we now work on unmanned aircraft carrying goods first. In the regulatory sandbox X, we have received applications for cross-boundary use of unmanned aircraft. The feedback from the mainland counterparts is positive. I hope that I can give members good news very soon. What about the other two questions? Thank you. As for the question on Victoria Harbour, well, there are a few helipads at the Victoria Harbour. The operation of unmanned aircraft along the two sides of Victoria Harbour may affect other aircraft. So Victoria Harbour is now designated as the restricted zone. It doesn't mean that drones cannot fly there. Interested parties can apply to the Civil Aviation Department. Upon approval, drone shows can be staged there. So even though some airspace may be designated as restricted zone, under controlled circumstances, applications can be filed to the CAD, and when it's approved, shows or use of unmanned aircraft can be allowed at those zones. As for the sandbox, we have tested out many different projects, including material lifting projects. Some of the projects have been regularized. For interested service providers, they can apply to the CAD for a permit. When it's safe, we will approve of such permits so that the operation can be done safely in a controlled environment. Mr. Lau Ka-kang, thank you. The 15th five-year plan states that we are to promote the healthy development of LAE. I support the government in legislating to regulate and promote the development of LAE. Here are my questions. First, for unconventional aircraft, I wonder how the government will strike a balance in the sense that when we regulate the industry, we allow sufficient room and flexibility for the industry to develop and come up with innovative design. Second, when we come up with legislative proposal, we will learn from our neighboring cities. Thank you. Deputy Secretary, please. Thank you, Mr. Lau, for the question. Now, in terms of the design of the legislation, as the member said, we try to strike a balance between safety and flexibility for the sector. Our idea is that in the subsidiary legislation for important areas on, say, airworthiness and equipment, personnel licensing, we come up with a framework first. In the future, the director for the Civil Aviation Department will issue some technical requirements. This is how we can strike a better balance so that we can keep up with the time while protecting the public. When we drafted the proposal, we have made reference to the mainland and other places. Any follow-up question? No. Next, Mr. Andrew Fan. Thank you. Along with other members, I'm the most concerned about the issue of safety. In Annex C, we see the key areas of the proposed regulatory requirements, including registration, airworthiness, operation permission, insurance, so on and so forth. I don't see a registration system for parts. Parts can be produced in batches. If drones or unmanned aircraft are built with unqualified or subpar parts, then there may be danger. In other words, if the drones is used to carry goods and if the hook is not fixed properly, then the goods may drop onto the streets and hurt other people. And according to paragraph 10, it is said that there will be a regulation on the parts, but there is no requirements on the personnel in repair or replacement of parts. There is not a standardized licensing regime for repairs. Some third-party repair shops can use low-price parts that are not of quality to repair drones. Will we establish a licensing regime for the industry practitioners? We all know that when it comes to unmanned aircraft, we're talking about sometimes drones. There was a day when within 10 minutes the observatory changed the rainstorm signal from amber to red to black. During these adverse weather conditions, how do we make sure that the unmanned aircraft can be operated safely? Thank you. 3 questions. Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Member, for the question. I will answer the last question first. As for the other 2 questions on parts, I will ask the Assistant Director to answer it. Weather forecast is important because when it comes to forecast, it's usually territory-wide. But when we talk about low-altitude economy, it has to do with some particular districts or streets. We do have the representative from the observatory in the working group. We've learned from the mainland and other places. For specific air routes, they have a weather forecast system. They also make use of AI to do it. The data will be included in these maps, SLAPs. So we have taken into account the instability of weather. I will ask my colleague to take the other question. Thank you. Air safety is important to the CAD. All along, we adopt a risk-based approach to address air safety. On parts or heavy aircraft, in order to ensure safety, these high-risk and heavy aircraft need to obtain an airworthiness license or permit. The permit will not be approved until the parts of the drones have been inspected. Now on the maintenance personnel, as we adopt a risk-based approach, in the subsidiary legislation to be proposed, we're going to put in place a set of requirements for repair and maintenance workers. Thank you.
Next, Ms. Elizabeth Quat. Thank you, Chairman. I welcome the government's adoption of my view by fast-tracking the legislation for eVTOLs or electric vertical takeoff and landing devices. Otherwise, those devices simply won't be able to fly. My concern is about manpower. More and more low-altitude economy projects will be regularized. Many projects are already going on. There is no dedicated manpower to take forward the low-altitude economy. On fostering industrial development and regulation, we need enough manpower. The officers from the Bureau and the Civil Aviation Department simply take on these duties on top of their existing work. So, as I was calling for an action plan and development strategy, I've also been calling for an authority on the low-altitude economy. For the short term, I have been calling for a dedicated office and a commissioner. We need dedicated officers for the LAE. The paper mentions manpower without specifying the plan and the arrangement, so I wonder how that will be done. My other concern has to do with infrastructure, especially for the Northern Metropolis. I joined this delegation visit to Xiong'an. For a smart city and for the low-altitude economy, we need the infrastructure to be in place first. So how do we plan the vertiport in the NM in support of the future cross-boundary logistics? We have to get the design right first so that people and materials can travel between Hong Kong and the mainland. When can we see a timeline about the plans for the infrastructure in the NM? We need a timeline and a blueprint. So those are my two questions for now. So 2 questions, dedicated manpower and infrastructure. Deputy Secretary. Thank you. On manpower, at the CAD, there is a time-limited Deputy Director post at D3. This officer takes on work related to the LAE on top of their existing duties. Once this post expires, we will review the manpower within the CAD. The member mentioned a heavy workload in the future. The CAD is also transitioning from its role as a regulator to becoming a facilitator. Would that warrant a change in resources for the CAD? We will review this matter with the CAD. Now, on the infrastructure, the CAD is conducting a technical study. They have engaged experts to look at flight route and the size of vertiports, and they will come up with recommendations. In parallel, we're also working with the Northern Metropolis Coordination Office. The NM is a new development area, and that will bring greater flexibility. So we will find suitable spots in the NM to take forward such work. In the action plan on developing the LAE, we will explain how we will implement those infrastructure projects in the years to come. Mr. Perry Yu. Can we switch on the microphone for Mr. Yu, please? Now, for the year and a half since the inception of the working group on developing LAE, and has done a lot of work. I recognize their work. The work is going on for the drafting of the action plan. I hope there is not just the action plan. I also would like to see faster progress in the ecosystem, especially for more mature application scenarios. there was a drone show in Hong Kong in support of a proposal, a wedding proposal. So we can see that there is market demand for a kind of ritual to go with special occasions. Drone shows have almost always been official or semi-official in nature. But if the drone show is in the public interest and it's safe and the risks are manageable, can we allow drone shows on a commercial basis? Will the government consider allowing the industry to hold private drone shows in waterfront areas? The government can act as the gatekeeper in terms of the operation and the language used, while also fostering industry development. So that's a question about promoting the use of drones. Deputy Secretary. This question has to do with commercial activities, licensing, and also fees, as well as the application process. We have engaged a different consultant to look into this. We're hoping to explain this also in the action plan that will come out in the end of the year. Yesterday, I was with an association on tourist attractions. Tourist attractions also want to enhance the experience of visitors through drones. Many private venues also take an interest in holding drone shows, so we should go faster in taking forward the work on this front. I hope the government will note Mr. Yu's comment. Mr. Sunny Tan, I'm the chairperson of the Hong Kong Productivity Council. We are a technological partner of the regulatory sandbox. I want to start by commending the government's work. The Deputy Secretary mentioned the approach going for the low-hanging fruit, starting from short-haul flights and also starting with cargoes. When we set standards, Hong Kong as an international city can come in handy in taking this emerging industry global. So I hope the government can tell us more about the work on this front. On cross-boundary applications, this is particularly close to my heart. For pilot operators, can we achieve mutual recognition of licenses for drone operators between Hong Kong and the mainland? In 2027, our legislation will be enacted. How can the industry support this timeline? So if the law will be enacted by the end of 2027, there are other steps the industry can take so that we can all start in 2027. Otherwise, we will be held back by something else even when the law is passed. I would like to hear from the government about that. Before we proceed, I want to say that we still have 5 members who wish to speak. After Mr. Ray Wong asks his question, I will draw the line. And for the remaining 5 members, please limit yourself to maybe just 2 questions. Deputy Secretary. Thank you. On technical partners and going global. This is where Hong Kong has an edge. We will work with our technological partners on setting standards for the low altitude economy. On mutual recognition, that question can go to the Deputy Director. On mutual recognition of drone pilots, we will continue such discussions with the mainland. A mechanism is in place in Hong Kong. For drone pilots with experience outside Hong Kong, we recognize such experience. On whether the mainland will recognize licenses issued in Hong Kong, we will talk to the relevant authorities in the mainland about that. Mr. Chen Pokji, thank you. The industry has mentioned two issues. First, evidence gathering for illegal fishing boats and also patrolling oyster farms. The CAD has cited different reasons, say flights during night, so such investigations cannot proceed. While we may control risks, what conditions will have to be met before we can see streamlining or relaxing of the rules? Deputy Director. Thank you. Air safety is our prime concern. That's why we take a risk-based approach. Nighttime flights are not allowed normally, but the CAD does have a mechanism. A party can apply to us for nighttime flights. The applicant has to propose operating procedures and risk mitigation measures so that we are satisfied that safety can be ensured. In such a case, the CAD can consider granting such an application. It depends on the application scenario, the circumstances. We have to minimize the risks and ensure safety. So the industry can apply for such a permit. Nothing to add from Mr. Chen. Ms. Vivian Kong. Thank you. Has the government assessed the appeal of sightseeing via the LAE and also the economic boost that can come? And will there be a benefit analysis of the LAE in relation to tourism for the action plan? Thank you. Sightseeing through the LAE will be a crucial part. For the regulatory sandbox, we received quite a number of applications about sightseeing. This year, we will arrange a test flight for passenger carrying drones. So we will start with a flight without a passenger, and then we will go deeper and broader with the application scenario. If such a drone becomes mature, it will be a great tool for passenger carrying sightseeing. Thank you. So if this can be launched as a product, many LegCo members will be happy to try out the first flight. Mr. Alan Chan. I want to commend the government for the work. I give credit to the working group on developing LAE led by the Deputy Financial Secretary. For the short time that the working group has been in operation, it has approved 115 applications, and more than 100 applications have been received for the sandbox. Now, I turn to my questions. First, it's about safety. There was a drone that crashed into a commercial building in Beijing. What can the CAD do against illegal flights involving drones, can we jam the signal? Can we do something about drones that deviate from their flight route? So when there's irrational behavior, when there's a drone going out of control, what can we do about that? My next question has to do with law enforcement agencies. If the police enforce the law, how can we share the information in real time for them to take action? My next question has to do with cross-boundary logistics. For certain products, such as those in healthcare, those goods need time-sensitive treatment. So for the Northern Metropolis, can we have customs with the postal service in the NM so that we can create a dedicated green lane for cross-boundary logistics, and that will make the post office more competitive? And then we can also achieve express customs clearance. This can also lower the government subsidy for the post office. Those are my questions.
個問題啊。
2 questions, please. Thank you, Chairman. Thank Mr. Chen for the question. I will take the last one first on cross-boundary logistics. As for the other 2 questions, I will ask Ms. Wong to take that. Apart from taking into account the air routes and location of 30 ports, we want to streamline custom clearance because goods sometimes are time sensitive. If we make use of traditional customs clearance procedures, time sensitive goods may not be suitable. So we are considering establishing a green lane. Ms. Wong, thank you. Regarding the safety of low-altitude economy, that is important. That's why we need to improve our infrastructures. That's why I talked about the low-altitude aircraft management system, the SLAMs. Before the drones or aircraft take off, we can approve their air routes, and during the journey, we can monitor the flight, the aircraft, and after the drones have landed, we can perform analysis. We are working with many different law enforcement agencies, including the police, as to whether we should establish some detectors to combat against illegal flight of unmanned aircraft. We're looking into whether we should procure such facilities and devices, as well as the relevant procedures. We will continue our discussion with the law enforcement agencies with regards to infrastructures. Operators of unmanned aircraft need to come up with a contingency plan. When there's accidents, they need to notify the CAD, the police, and other important stakeholders. This has all along been our practice. Thank you. Next to speak, Mr. Ray Wong. Thank you, Chairman. I'm glad to see that the government is promoting the development of LAE. From June last year to May this year, the CAD have approved over 110 projects, and in April, they have announced a list of regulatory sandbox X projects. I have 2 suggestions on infrastructures and regulations. First, we need to make our regulations more flexible. We need to strike a balance. The FSD make use of drones to detect fire at hills, and some companies make use of drones to deliver healthcare products. We do not have regulations on the dynamic system. I know that the government is planning for a SLAMs, but it will not be ready until 2028. I hope that the government will translate the data from the sandbox to some advanced operation guidelines so that eligible enterprises can apply for regular business permits instead of applying to join the sandbox every time. And I hope that we can include automated airline or aircraft technology into the regulation. CLP make use of also drones to inspect the power lines. The MTRCL also make use of unmanned aircraft to inspect their railway facilities. I hope that the government will take on board the sector suggestions, making use of Northern Metropolis as a trial place. We can allow the housing department to make use of drones for inspection. We can leverage on market forces to build and operate vertiports in the Northern Metropolis. Thank you. Mr. Wong have two suggestions. The administration, any response? Thank you. First, on interdepartmental or NGO services, while we have some cases in our sandbox, including those from the CLP and the MTRCL, we are now trying to streamline the application procedure so that more enterprises can make use of unmanned aircraft more flexibly. As to how government can make use of unmanned aircraft, well, in the sandbox, we are now trialing out having a single control center overseeing many different unmanned aircraft operated by a number of government departments to make it more convenient for various bureaus and departments to make use of drones. On the allocation of airspace, after the establishment of the SLAMs, we're going to have more flexibility for integrated flying of aircraft, and this will allow us to enhance our capacity. The last to speak, Mr. Xu Kafai. Thank you, Chairman. I'd like to commend the department for their efforts on promoting low-altitude economy, because this is a new industry and a new idea, but it seems that the government have come up with already many plans. This low-altitude economy could be an important element of growth for Hong Kong. So thank you for giving us a briefing in advance, answering many of our questions. So I'm not going to put too many questions today. Personally speaking, I of course support the development of low-altitude economy. In the future, there may be many unmanned aircraft and drones carrying goods from the Greater Bay Area to Hong Kong. In the future, there may be low-altitude taxis carrying passengers. I know that in terms of airspace, the drones will not clash with aircraft. When the unmanned aircraft and drones are in operation, how can we make sure that they will not clash, in the sense that a single air route can only be used by a single operator? Is there a system to control all the air routes to ensure safety? There may be illegal drones that have not been registered with you. How to address that? If your system can also identify or detect illegal unmanned aircraft or even prevent them from entering certain air routes or force them to land, then you may be able to address the problems. If you do take such action, some drones or unmanned aircraft may crash onto the streets. How do we assure the public that this is safe? The member is concerned about the airspace control system and safety. Who will take the question? Ms. Wong, please. Thank you. We need to ensure safety of the people. It is important. So the department would also like to commission these stamps as soon as possible. In the sandbox, we invite project proponents to show us their technology. Hopefully, we can implement the system in Hong Kong as soon as possible. I thank the member for his suggestion. We will continue to work on it, and hopefully we can meet our target very soon. With the support of the members, hopefully the system can be completed as soon as possible. The member talked about illegal flight of unmanned aircraft. If the system can support the law enforcement agencies, that would be the best. Thank you. On the dedicated legislation for unconventional aircraft, the administration targets to complete the legislative work within 2027. Do members agree to the proposed regulatory framework of the government? We support it. Thank you. Now we move on to item 4 on the agenda, that's cross-boundary facilitation measures for yachts. Now I ask the government officials to come in. Members who would like to put questions, please press the request to speak button. Welcome from the TLB, Ms. Amy Chan. Also, Chief Assistant Secretary for Transport and Logistics, Ms. Aris Yu, as well as other government officials. The PowerPoint slides and the papers submitted by the administration are before members. Now, I'd like to ask Ms. Amy Chan, Deputy Secretary for Transport and Logistics, to give us opening remarks, and then we will ask Ms. Carmen Chan, Assistant Director of the Marine Department, to give us a PowerPoint presentation. As we have quite a number of agenda items today, and the PowerPoint slides have been sent to members earlier, please finish your presentation within 5 minutes. Thank you. Deputy Secretary. Please turn on Ms. Chan's microphone. Am I coming through? Yes. Thank you. Members, Hong Kong is a bustling port city. It is an important port. We process 1,000 vessels in our waterways. We play the role of transshipment and international trade. In the 2025 policy address, a number of measures been set out to develop yacht economy so that we can become a yacht hub in Asia. To ensure the efficiency of our ports, as we promote the yacht economy, the relevant measures need to take into account marine safety, port order, and relevant requirements. The Marine Department will relax barriers and enhance the use of technology, as well as improve relevant facilitation measures to make it more convenient for yachts to come to Hong Kong. With the streamlined measures, we will be able to attract yachts from all over the world and Greater Bay Area to Hong Kong so that we can build a sustainable and competitive environment of growth. Now I will ask the Assistant Director of Marine Department to give you further details on the facilitation measures. Ms. Chan. Thank you. Chairman, members. Now I will brief members of the facilitation measures for visiting yachts. Hong Kong has all along followed international practice foreign vessels have to complete the required formalities and obtain the Marine Department's permission before navigating within Hong Kong waters. Since 2016, visiting yachts, as long as they meet the relevant requirements, can navigate in Hong Kong for pleasure purposes. In 2025 policy address, a series of measures been announced. First, we're going to facilitate yacht masters in obtaining the relevant qualifications. Second, we're going to enhance the EBS, electronic business system. And third, we're going to relax the berthing requirements for visiting yachts. On the 29th of June, the Marine Departments have already implemented the 3 measures. First, Hong Kong waters is busy. The marine traffic is heavy. Now we ask operators of vessels to have knowledge on a local principle, fairways, prohibited anchorage area, so on and so forth, to ensure safety. Previously, operators need to come to Hong Kong to take the exam. Now, under the new arrangements, the Marine Department have authorized 2 training institutions to provide examinations. The examination duration, questions, assessment standards are identical to those adopted in Hong Kong. We have approved 7 Chinese mainland training institutions to provide courses. As long as the students complete the courses, they will be deemed to have obtained the qualifications. On the 12th of June 2026, the first batch of examination and training courses were conducted, with 7 and 23 participants obtaining the qualification respectively. Previously, the visiting yachts need to conduct port formalities with many different departments, including the Marine Department, Department of Health, and Immigration Department. Now, the new system, the EBS, have been launched on the 29th of June. Visiting yachts can submit, say, pre-approval notification and other documents through the system. Visiting yachts can also submit passenger information, arrival information for the MD.
The third measure has to do with the proof of having secured a berth. In the past, such proof was required. Now we will provide 5 designated anchorage areas. There will always be a dynamic monitoring system along with an automatic identification system, so we can keep track of the berths and match the berths with yachts in real time. This arrangement was put in place on the 29th of June. We chose these 5 designated areas because none of these areas is a prohibited anchorage area. In the waters nearby, the waters nearby are close to the popular spots for pleasure vessels. Now we look at the draft and the size of the yacht involved, and then we find the suitable anchorage area. The system will help the Marine Department keep track of the number of yachts in an area. If there are more yachts than what the area can accommodate, the system will stop accepting applications for that anchorage. For these 3 measures, we consulted the 3 subcommittees under the Local Vessel Advisory Committee between March and May this year. We also consulted the district councils involved in the 5 anchorage areas, including the Taipo, Southern District, and Islands. We also set up a tripartite working group with the Guangdong and Macau marine authorities. The northbound travel for Hong Kong yachts saw the first yacht journey on the 18th of June this year, and we will talk to the Guangdong side about the southbound travel scheme for yacht, and we will let members know once we have an outcome. Thank you. The yacht tourism is close to the heart of many members. 30 members are waiting to speak. I'll read out the sequence. Dr. Simon Lee, Mr. Lothair Lam, Mr. Chen Xiuhong, Mr. Andrew Fan, Mr. Stephen Ho, Mr. Tommy Chong, Mr. Ray Wong, Mr. Andrew Lam, Mr. Alan Chan, Mr. Peter Shiu, Mr. Perry Yu, Dr. Webster and me. After Mr. Chen Xiuhong speaks, I will draw the line. Again, we have 45 minutes for this item, so let's do 3 minutes for each member, question and answer inclusive. Dr. Simon Lee. These facilitation measures are great. They make the most of Hong Kong's advantage. I support these measures and I commend the government's measures. I do have some concerns. First, it's about the berths. Berths are in short supply. With these facilitation measures, will the shortage worsen? There are now anchorage areas, but we don't have floating pontoons. There are no utilities in these anchorage areas, so we cannot meet the needs of high spenders. That's the first problem. After the yachts arrive, they will need refueling. We will also need parts and components. We will need technicians to service the yachts. So how are these conditions? How are these support services coming along? We think the overall direction is right based on the briefing we received. Deputy Secretary, I will say a few words and then the director will tell us more. For these 3 facilitation measures, high spenders from yachts can still go to private marinas. We're simply giving indeed, there are more options on the private market. On bunkering and resupplying for yachts, the director can tell us more. To supplement the Deputy Secretary's response, after a yacht arrives in Hong Kong, the high spenders want faster access to land. They want their yachts resupplied and bunkered. They can still go to marinas and piers. We do not stop them from doing that. We want to bring in more outside yachts so that they can enjoy the maritime resources of Hong Kong. We open up these 5 anchorage areas because some yachts may not want to go to marinas. They simply want to come to Hong Kong, so those anchorage areas can do this. Is it true that there is absolutely no support from the anchorage areas for yachts looking for fresh water? There are channels for them. We can also give the yacht information on how to arrange vessels resupplying yachts with fresh water. There are also offshore bunkering services. We can provide information on that. It really depends on the needs of those yachts once they arrive. Thank you. Mr. Lothair Lam. I support the facilitation measures for yachts. There are now 5 anchorage areas. The registration and the examination for non-local yacht masters have also been simplified. This applies to all yachts coming to Hong Kong, not just mainland yachts coming to Hong Kong. The 2025 policy address proposes developing the yacht economy and turning Hong Kong into a yacht hub. The measures proposed today do not go far enough. Let's look at other cities such as Monaco and Singapore. The yacht tourism as an initiative goes hand in hand with family offices and other high value-added services. There's a yacht festival in Singapore. It's an annual event. I understand this goes beyond the scope of the Marine Department and the TLB, so that's just my comment. Now I turn to my questions. Do we have a suitable spot in Victoria Harbour to turn it into a yacht bay? Other yacht hubs offer instant access to shopping areas and their old town for yacht. I understand that there are potential investors from Singapore. They are looking to invest in Hong Kong, but there are undersea utilities in the Victoria Harbour. So the harbour cannot serve as an anchorage area. Can we convert existing piers into marina bays so that people getting off their yacht can access our urban center right away? There were facilitation measures for immigration and customs clearance. Do we have the numbers of yacht arrivals over the past year? The 5 anchorage areas offer a total of 115 berths open to everyone coming here. In the past, yachts had to secure a berth beforehand. My question is, if all the spots are taken in the anchorage areas, can we still provide berths for yachts looking to come here? Deputy Secretary, thank you. The Marine Department is the law enforcement agency in charge of marine safety. They have heard the feedback from the industry. That's why they launched the facilitation measures. The work in relation to turning Hong Kong into a yacht hub will be implemented over time. On turning Victoria Harbour into a marina bay and also how many yachts visited Hong Kong last year, the director can provide the details. In the Victoria Harbour, there are tunnels and utilities, meaning power cables undersea. It is not easy to find a bay and turn that into a yacht marina. For the Marine Department, we manage the traffic, we ensure marine safety. We can provide advice if there is a viable proposal. On the numbers, over the past 3 years, on average, 77 outside yachts visited Hong Kong in each of the past 3 years. That's the number we have. Mr. Chen Xiuhong. I welcome these measures to streamline the requirements. I support the 3 facilitation measures. They help bring in more mainland visitors. We have to let the visitors disembark so that they can spend money here and boost our economy. I have some questions. Paragraph 7 says that the Marine Department has authorized mainland institutions to not just conduct exams but also to offer training. People have raised concerns about the training institutions offering training and exams. There are quality concerns. Are there regular inspections to ensure quality? My next question has to do with the anchorage areas. The 5 areas offer a total of 115 berths for yachts that are 45 meters long or shorter. I have a concern about what to do with the sewage from people on board the yacht and also the garbage. How do we prevent the increase in yachts from causing pollution to the environment, especially when there may be highly sensitive ecosystems? We're trying to bring in more yachts from the mainland and overseas. As an incentive to bring in overseas yachts, will the government consider facilitation measures for overseas yachts to come here and then go on to visit the mainland cities of the GBA? The first two questions will require a response from the director on facilitation for non-mainland outside yachts. Overseas yachts can also benefit from the existing facilitation measures, aside from the one about relaxing exams and training. But it will be up to the mainland authorities to decide whether to allow those yachts to come in. Depending on the market demand, we are happy to facilitate such discussions.
Did we have cases where overseas yachts went to the Greater Bay Area after coming to Hong Kong? We didn't notice any of such cases. If not, then we need to encourage them to visit other cities in the Greater Bay Area after coming to Hong Kong. The director, please. Thank you. I will address the first two questions. First, on examination and training. The Mainland Maritime Bureau have a set of internal monitoring system to make sure that there will not be leakage of examination questions. The questions are supplied by the Marine Department. Every time, the Bureau will select some questions out of the set of questions that we supplied. This is a national level examination center, so we are confident in them. Second, on the 7 Chinese mainland training institutions, the tutors are recognized by us in the sense that they are qualified to teach about yacht navigation and other knowledge. We also sent staff to the institutions to see how they assess the performance of the students and how they teach. When necessary, we also sent staff to inspect the content of the course. Second, on a collection of refuse, apart from the 5 anchorage areas, the Marine Department every day sent staff to different waters in Hong Kong to monitor the cleanliness of the sea. We look at whether there's any illegal littering. We take prosecution against persons who litter, regardless of whether they are from Hong Kong or other places. We also have proportional leaflets to visiting yachts, guiding them how to treat their sewage or refuse. If visiting yachts need to hand their refuse to the onboard collectors, we do have information for them. We send them the contact information of refuse collectors and sewage collectors. We don't want them to dump these waste into the water. If we detect such cases, we take enforcement action, even though they may be visitors. We treat everyone the same. Thank you. Mr. Andrew Fan. Thank you, Chairman. I will try to be succinct. I have quite a number of questions. First of all, I fully support the facilitation measures. First, on the designated anchorage areas, I have a question. For yachts in anchorage areas, when there's typhoon, they need to go to typhoon shelters. If there is language barriers, they may not fully understand the local culture at the typhoon shelter. What happens when there's fighting or dispute, argument involved? Second, we try to combat illegal occupation of public waters. I know that the government take enforcement action. I wonder how we can make sure that visiting yachts will not just more in the anchorage areas over the long run, so that the yachts will not be abandoned at our anchorage areas? Is there a real name registration mechanism to make sure that yachts will not be berthed at our anchorage areas and serve as sometimes illegally as a hostel or guest house on waters? Third, I also support the southbound travel for Guangdong yachts. During peak periods such as the Golden Week, there may be too many yachts coming to Hong Kong, and as a result, we may not have enough berthing space for yachts at the anchorage areas. How the government make their projections? Thank you. The director, please. Thank you. First of all, on what happens when yachts need to move to typhoon shelters during adverse weather. Well, under the existing legislation, only local vessels can enter typhoon shelters. Regarding the 5 anchorage areas, they are not sheltered. For the safety of the visiting yachts, when typhoon number 3 is hoisted, we ask them to leave Hong Kong waters. When typhoon comes, we want to make sure that the visiting yachts are also safe. When these yachts are berthed at a privately run yacht club or piers, they're allowed to stay there because these places are relatively safe. Can visiting yachts moor in Hong Kong for a long time? Well, basically speaking, they should not stay here for more than 82 days. If they stay here for longer than 182 days, they need to obtain a local license. Third, during Golden Week, there may be more yachts coming to Hong Kong. For the 5 anchorage areas, we can accommodate 115 yachts shorter than 40 meters. In the past, how many visiting yachts we have? Well, we only have 77 every year. Even after the implementation of the facilitation measures, we do not foresee more than 110 yachts coming to Hong Kong all of a sudden. If we do have so many yachts coming to Hong Kong, we will look into whether we have some other anchorage areas to accommodate them. We welcome yachts to Hong Kong to conduct tourism activities. Thank you. Mr. Stephen Ho. Thank you, Chairman. I thank the SAR government for their work on developing the yacht economy. Now, I'd like to ask how we can improve our facilities and encourage consumption. We may need another meeting for this subject. Now, on the issue about berthing spaces, some green groups raised issues, and I did issue a press release explaining about the government policies. But I think that the government should explain from the environmental protection perspective how they designate the anchorage areas. Second, recently there's been an issue with dangerous drugs. I know that the SAR government does have a comprehensive set of customs clearance and inspection system. Can the administration explain further? I know that the AIS automatic identification system is very effective in identifying the location of visiting yachts. This is how the government can take law enforcement action when issues have been identified. Third, regarding the issue of typhoon, well, the director said that they will ask the visiting yachts to leave Hong Kong. But I think that we should be more accommodating. When these yachts cannot leave, we should allow them to enter our typhoon shelter. Very often, our typhoon shelters are full during typhoon. Can we ask the yachts to go to Ling Chau, Two Moon, or well, because Two Moon and Aberdeen typhoon shelters are usually fully occupied during typhoon. Thank you. Deputy Secretary, please. Thank you. Well, perhaps I ask the director to first explain about the law enforcement issue and the arrangement during typhoon. When there's policy-related issues, I can supplement. Thank you, Chairman. During immigration, under normal circumstances, visiting yachts need to go through customs clearance. We have no way to control criminals if they want to bring in illegal goods. They may even bring in illegal immigrants if they intended to do so. But procedurally speaking, they need to conduct part formalities with the Immigration Department, Department of Health, and the MD. If we detect any smuggling or illegal activities, we work together with other law enforcement agencies to take action. If there is any irregularities, we inform the law enforcement agencies. We do have an AIS, and the vessels are equipped with VHF radio. If the visiting yachts turn off their VHF radio, trying to engage in illegal activities, we will detect that. We call their station and ask them to turn it back on. And even if they turn off the radio, we will know where they were and we will send someone to search them. If the visiting yachts cannot leave Hong Kong waters in time during typhoon, of course, the Marine Department or the government will try to arrange them to move to a safe anchorage areas. If they need to go to the typhoon shelter, we will direct them there. If the vessels are smaller, we escort them to the shelters. This is our obligation as the government. I will ask if the Deputy Secretary have anything to add. Well, after the facilitation measures have been implemented on the 29th of June, we monitor the market feedback. We keep in close communication with the stakeholders. When necessary, we will further improve our arrangement and measure. Next, Mr. Tommy Chung. Thank you, Chairman. While I support the facilitation measures for yachts, I have 2 points of concern. First, on the dynamic monitoring of anchorage areas and the manpower deployment of the Marine Department. I wonder if the Marine Department will have a dedicated team of staff or send additional staff to manage the anchorage areas. If you don't have enough staff, you can submit a staffing proposal to the LegCo. And I wonder how the MD will collect feedback from the visitors and the public to collect their views on the anchorage area so that we can further improve the facilities there. Second, this question may have to do with TLB. I'd like to ask about how convenient it is for yacht passengers to spend in Hong Kong. I wonder if the TLB have been working with the CSTB in providing visitors some spending guide. Thank you.
Deputy Secretary, thank you. On manpower establishment, the Marine Department will take forward the work with their existing manpower. This covers marine patrols and also keeping track of the signals in the control room. They can absorb the work with their existing manpower. We constantly gather feedback. If members become aware of any suggestions, members are welcome to let us know. On spending on land, we rolled out the facilitation measures, and then we want to give the market time for the effects to be felt. If more facilitation measures are needed, we are happy to look into those. Mr. Ray Wong. I want to ride on Mr. Tommy Chong's question about spending after tourists disembarked. When people moor their yacht, does that mean they can always land? I'm looking at the 5 anchorage areas. Now take the 3 Fathoms Cove. For people to reach land, they will need connecting vessels. So will there be connecting vessel services? There are tenders acting as connecting boats. Will there be an issue with recognition of qualifications? There's a problem with the qualifications. Can mainland yacht masters operate such connecting boats? Is it legal for them to do so? In 2017, the government launched the Pier Improvement Program. That program is still under planning and study. Will there be pontoons at piers as temporary landing facilities so that we can improve the refilling and bunkering of yachts, and that just so we don't have a repeat of what happened at the Kai Tak Cruise Terminal? Deputy Secretary. Yachts have to secure a berth before they enter our waters, but that yacht does not have to stay at the anchorage area 24/7. The yacht master can apply for a permission to navigate in Hong Kong's waters. With this navigation permit, the yacht can go around in our waters. So that can help. On the Pier Improvement Program launched in 2017, that falls under the Development Bureau, so we can pass on this suggestion to the Development Bureau. I also asked a question about connecting boats. Super yachts also come with connecting boats. For the Marine Department, if there is insurance coverage from the super yacht, that also covers the connecting boat, and then there's a qualified yacht master. And by a qualified yacht master, we mean someone who is qualified to navigate freely in Hong Kong's waters. In such a case, it's fine for the yacht master to operate the tender boat. And this yacht master operates the tender boat and goes to the landing facilities and picks up people. That's fine. That's legal. That means mainland qualifications may be recognized in Hong Kong. Is that right? Yes, we recognize mainland master's qualifications. We do not question such credentials. But for someone to navigate freely in Hong Kong waters, they will have to pass the local knowledge examination. And this goes back to the PowerPoint slide. We mentioned the 2 examination centers and 7 training centers. Once this yacht master has this qualification, they will be able to operate this tender boat around Hong Kong's waters. So this will require passing an exam beforehand. Mr. Andrew Lam. a boat coming in, a yacht coming in, maybe from the mainland or overseas, but the yacht master may have limited knowledge of Hong Kong. We're talking about ecotourism these days. The impact from both locals and visitors have aroused public concerns. It's good to see this leaflet or booklet about marine parks, but then there's only that much the booklet can cover. The Marine Department has a dynamic monitoring system. That system gives us real-time information about the anchorage areas, but the yacht moves around. Will we be able to tell the yacht is approaching ecologically sensitive area? Will there be an alert? This system can be applied not just to cross-boundary yachts. Local yachts may also approach sensitive areas, so I just wonder what we can do. The technical question can be addressed by the director. Thank you. In our yacht dynamic monitoring system, we have the geofencing feature. Here's what this means. The automatic identification system tells us where the yacht is, and when the yacht approaches where they should not be, such as in the restricted zones, we will issue a warning. We will let the yacht know they should not pass through or enter such areas. The yacht will be told to alter their route. So that feature is incorporated into the yacht dynamic monitoring system. Any follow-up question? No, we move on to the next member, Mr. Alan Chan. I'm all for the cross-boundary facilitation measures for yachts. The mainland is about to see an explosive growth in the yacht economy. There were 9,800 or so yachts in the mainland. We already see a spending pattern among the rich using yachts these days. So the question is simply about where they go to have fun and spend money. Hong Kong is a financial center of our country. We have to get the first mover's advantage. The mainland makes up 76% of our visitor arrivals. Mainland spenders want to come here. In 2025, the Asia's market exceeded $1 trillion, and by the 2030s, it will exceed $1.9 trillion. So we are seizing the opportunities that support this. There are 5 anchorage areas. When people go to Legislative, they can try out the seafood. When we go on a boating trip, we go to Legislative for the seafood. Why can people not access places like Legislative from the 5 anchorage areas? Why not set an anchorage area in Hong Kong where it's closer to hotels to make life easier for the visitors? Deputy Secretary. On one slide, we discussed the criteria for setting the anchorage areas. We try to find somewhere close to popular spots for yachts. The yachts need to secure an anchorage area before coming in, but the yachts don't have to stay in the anchorage 24/7. Once they get in and obtain the permit, they can move around. They can go to urban areas. The people can disembark and spend money. The yacht master can drop off their guests, and then those guests can stay at the hotel. So we're not restricting the yachts to the anchorage areas. As I said, we proposed these facilitation measures based on market feedback. the market may have other views in the future. They may want other support measures. We will be open to those views, and we are happy to oblige. Mr. Peter Shiu. Over the past 3 years, an average of 77 yachts visited Hong Kong in each year. Roughly 35 came from the mainland each year. Those people had to obtain Hong Kong's license, and they had to secure a berth before they could come here. Mr. Alan Chen mentioned more than 9,800 yachts in the mainland. That points to huge potential. If we can act faster or earlier, and then we can seize the opportunities. Now there are 5 anchorage areas. 3 are in Hong Kong Island. Mr. Jonathan Leung is not just a legislative councillor, he's also a district councillor of the Southern District, and his constituency is in Repulse Bay. And people worry that the yacht may lead to a traffic congestion in Repulse Bay. We just had a meeting yesterday, so maybe the Deputy Secretary can also explain this at this meeting so that Mr. Leung can explain how this will work, just to put minds at ease for his constituents in Repulse Bay. I also have a question about whether chartered yachts can come here. I'm saying if criminals use yachts for smuggling, how will we inspect the yachts? Will there be warnings so that people don't exploit the loophole? So it's a question about tackling smuggling. When we give out the permit, one of the conditions attached is that during the stay of the yacht, no leasing can occur. The member may refer to a situation where the yacht is leased in the mainland. That is not governed by Hong Kong's laws. That yacht can come here if that is allowed by mainland laws, but there is a risk. If this yacht engages in illegal act, we take enforcement actions. If there are dangerous drugs or there is smuggling, we will team up with other law enforcement agencies to take action. We will also follow up. Such measures will mean that we can reject any future application to come in from this yacht, and we will also hand over the details of this yacht to the mainland authorities, and then the mainland can deal with that yacht once the yacht returns to the mainland. That's what we can do. And what about the traffic congestion in the Southern District? For Repulse Bay, we discussed this matter yesterday. Around Repulse Bay, there is no landing facility. So people will have to go to Stanley instead. I don't foresee any major impact on the land transport for Repulse Bay. And most importantly, the people involved there won't be many people involved. Most important of all, you have to board the yacht to inspect the yacht. You have to demonstrate this so that you can warn criminals against using those yachts for crime. Mr. Perrier, I welcome the 3 facilitation measures from the MD so that we can draw yachts from around the world. We want not just the yacht to come here, but also to give people a great experience so that people buy yachts in Hong Kong and then they stay here. That is the bona fide yacht tourism. So how do we give yachts that come here a good experience? So we'll have to review our pier facilities to improve everything. I visited Yantian district. I got a copy of this, and this is this service manual for individual yacht visiting in the Greater Bay Area. It's dated the 19th of June from the Guangdong Maritime Authorities and also the Guangdong Provincial Culture and Tourism Department. I'm comparing this with the booklet from the Marine Department. I can see the contrast, and this is something we should think about. The Marine Department has done its part. The new measures and the points you note and the formalities are set out in the booklet. That's good. But this mainland manual is even better. Apart from the essential information, the mainland document also comes with recommended itineraries, so it suggests the route the yacht can take, the tourist attractions. So can we do better with our booklets for better promotion? Can we also recommend itineraries for interested yachts? Just then a member suggested going on a boat trip to Legislative for the seafood. There are new pier facilities, or people can go on a boat trip to Disneyland. Few people know there's a great pier at Disneyland. Can we incorporate such recommendations in our own booklet so that everything is in one place? People can tell we welcome yacht. We're trying to promote tourism.
好，秘書長。
Deputy Secretary. Thank you, Chairman. I thank Mr. Yu for his great suggestions. We implement the facilitation measures to develop the market. You talked about itinerary recommendation. I fully support it. But as a government webpage, we need to be cautious about this because we should not promote itinerary of any company. If there's any organization that provides such service, the Marine Department will be willing to work with them. Deputy Secretary, will you consider working with the Tourism Board? Maybe we can promote it via their website. Chairman, that's exactly what I meant. I was not asking the government to recommend itineraries from certain companies to visitors. But we want to make sure that visitors know how to make use of their vessels or yachts to travel around Hong Kong. Mr. Webster, Thank you, Chairman. First of all, I support the cross-boundary facilitation measures for yachts. I have 3 questions. First, this has been asked by quite many members. Why do we only have 5 anchorage areas? Why don't we have one in the urban area of Sai Kung? Can the vessels operators make use of a tender boat to go to other places? Yacht economy is not about how many berthing spaces we have. It's about added value. In paragraph 6 of the paper, the administration talks about the number of vessels coming to Hong Kong, the number of days they stay here. But more importantly, we need to focus on how much the visitors spend here. We can promote also insurance, service, financing, brokerage, repair services, so that it can contribute to our economy. Can we include KPI to the Marine Department's plan? We can assess, say, how our professional services can be driven by yacht economy and how much each visitors coming by yacht spend here. Maybe we can conduct some random survey. The airport authority is going to promote Skytopia. We are going to have 500 berthing spaces that accommodate yachts longer than 100 meters that will be available in 2028. it is said that the airport authority will be shouldering all the cost. But I wonder if the government have any land premium concessions or discount for operators. Do we have any ROI or cost recovery calculations? I know that the Deputy Secretary may not have information at hand. If possible, can you give us some data after the meeting? Thank you. Thank you, Chairman. I'd like to answer the first question. The reason why we have these 5 designated anchorage areas is because we want to create a healthy and sustainable as well as competitive environment for yacht economy. That's why we specify the 5 areas. After monitoring the take-up rate, we may make further arrangement as to whether our marine services can be driven by implementing the facilitation measures. We will monitor the market development. If necessary, I will leverage on the professional sector. Mr. Ng also talked about land premium discounts, concessions. Well, that's not under the purview of the TLB, but I may relay your question to the Development Bureau. Thank you. Although I've already drawn up the line, I see that Mr. Dennis Leung has pressed the button. I will give him an opportunity to put his question. Please limit yourself to 1. Thank you, Chairman. I only have 1 question. I am concerned about marine safety in Hong Kong. When the yachts from the Chinese mainland come to Hong Kong, will they follow our regulations? Do the police and the Marine Department have enough vessels to take enforcement action? When accidents happen, will the Marine Department work with other law enforcement agencies or departments in initiating drills to ensure the safety of our waters? Thank you. Deputy Secretary. Well, I will ask the Director to take this question. Thank you, Chairman. I thank Mr. Leung for his question. Masters of vessels coming to Hong Kong from the Chinese mainland, Singapore, and the Philippines should have already been equipped with a vessel operator license. For operators that are equipped with a master's license, they should have knowledge of water navigation. For conflict regulation, it is a common standard adopted across the world. So I believe that masters of vessels, regardless of where they come from, should be aware of such knowledge or regulation. For masters that have not passed the local knowledge examination, they can only berth at a particular space in Hong Kong waters or in a yacht club. If they want to navigate in Hong Kong waters, then the masters need to pass the local knowledge examination. What we want them to know include the local principal fairways, our natural conservation areas, prohibited anchorage areas, and height restrictions, speed restrictions in Hong Kong. These are the knowledge that we ask vessel operator to know when they navigate in Hong Kong waters. Regarding law enforcement, our arrangement or traffic management model is the same. We do have regular joint operations with law enforcement agencies. As for drills, we do have fire prevention or accident-related drills with other departments, and that's an annual exercise of ours. I hope I've answered the member's question. Thank you. Thank you, Director. Now it's my turn. I thank the administration for launching this individual yacht travel scheme. This is a great measure for the promotion of tourism in Hong Kong. Well, on the one hand, the MD need to coordinate with authorities on the mainland, and second, on the other hand, the MD need to work with the Immigration Department, Customs and Excise Department in taking law enforcement action. At the same time, the department also need to monitor the trends of development for yacht economy. Like the Deputy Secretary said, we may need to implement artificial intelligence to enhance monitoring. I have two straightforward questions. Visiting yachts cannot carry passengers for reward or lease their yachts to someone else for reward. For Guangdong vessels coming to Hong Kong via the individual yacht travel scheme, can the owners invite their friends to the yacht for party in Hong Kong? Can I hand my yacht over to my friends in Hong Kong to use without a reward? That's my first question. In the paper, it is said that all the passengers in the yacht need to leave Hong Kong after their journey is completed. If they want to go to somewhere else, if the passengers want to go to somewhere else, should they take other mode of transport? Can you clarify? Thank you. Director, please. If yacht owners invite their friends for party in Hong Kong without reward, that's completely okay. But they need to be mindful of the carrying capacity of their yachts, especially during navigation. If the carrying capacity is just 12 people, if they invite over 20 people to their yachts and navigate around Hong Kong waters, we need to take then, unfortunately, enforcement action. They need to also pay attention if there is enough life-saving equipment or vests. Second, visiting yachts can hire local masters to operate their vessels. They, however, need to make sure that the operators is equipped with the right license. Third, after completing their time in Hong Kong, can passengers of the yacht take other mode of transport to leave Hong Kong? That's okay, but the relevant passengers or owners need to have a qualified person operate the vessels or yachts and leave Hong Kong waters. Of course, the yacht owners will be operating the vessel. I was talking about passengers. Yes, they may use other mode of transport to leave Hong Kong. If they do so, then the Immigration Department will be addressing the issue because they need to have a record of how visitors come and leave Hong Kong. Thank you. That's the end of this session. Now we've come to the next item. I have to attend another meeting. I will ask the Deputy Chairman to chair this meeting.
OK， 要上。係你好，首先歡
We welcome the Secretary for Commerce and Economic Development and his team. Whenever you're ready, please take us through this paper with brief remarks. Our meeting is scheduled to end at 7 p.m. I try not to hold everybody up here, so brevity in questions will be appreciated. Chairman, I will be brief in my opening remarks to allow more time for questions. So this is about the public consultation on the Trade Descriptions Ordinance. The message is that we want to better protect consumers' rights. So the government will fully review the Trade Descriptions Ordinance. The goal is to create an effective, transparent, and a fair system so that we can create a favorable business environment that can stimulate spending. The proposal is set out in detail in the paper. I believe members have read the paper. So to allow more time for exchange, and we look forward to hearing members' views. So we can start the Q&A session for members waiting to speak. Let's do 3 minutes per member. If possible, we can do the second round. Mr. Tommy Chong, Mr. Chen Xiuhong, Mr. Peter Xu, Dr. Web Sutton, followed by me. Mr. Tommy Chong. I support the proposed amendment to the Trade Descriptions Ordinance. This is about better safeguards for prepaid services. For beauty and fitness services, there will be a 7-day cooling off period, a 14-day refund period, and a cap on contract to 2 years. This can minimize risk for consumers. This is good for protecting for creating a fair system, that we have to guard against the abuse of the refund system. So here are my questions. If the consumer has actually used some of the services and then they apply for a full refund, can we provide for an express deduction mechanism for the refund when some of the services are used, such that the refund will be on a pro rata basis instead of a full refund? This can protect both the consumer and the trader. For any abuse of the refund system, is there a way for traders to guard against or take action against repeated abuse of the refund system? Would there be channels for preventing consumers from repeatedly abusing the refund system? So this is about paragraph 15. The Deputy Secretary can tell us more about that. The member's question is about a consumer who has used the services during the cooling off period. So this may be a package. In this case, the pro rata approach will apply. Or this may be a prepaid service, and then for every instance where the service is used, an amount is deducted. For package deals, there may often be a discount. So we will allow a cap of 150% for the pro rata unit price for the trader when the service is already used. On the abuse of the refund system, there will be an administrative fee for the refund. When there's a non-cash transaction, whether it's a lump sum or installment, there will be a transaction fee. When the consumer applies for the refund, they have to pay an amount equivalent to a certain percentage of the total contractual sum. What about the daily rated fitness contract? it's more tricky when it's about it's a contract based on days. Every contract is unique, but the spirit is the actual usage of the services under the contract. Mr. Chen Xiuhong. The cooling off period has been under discussion for many years. We want to protect consumers. We also want to protect service providers. Striking a balance is tricky. Some consumers abuse the mechanism. The service provider may also employ illegal means to trap consumers. Both cases exist. Here's my question. Paragraph 14 of the paper says that over the past 5 years, more than 80% of the complaints about fitness and beauty services involved a sum more than $3,000. And then we also got 70% for $8,000 or above, 60% for a sum of $15,000 or above. For any amount you set, the service provider can break down a larger contract into many contracts involving smaller sums. So that's how they can evade your regulation. What do we do about such attempt? Paragraph 15 says that when a contract is cancelled during the cooling off period and the service is already used, the government has given a reply to some extent. There will be a cap of 150% of the pro rata unit price. Will traders be able to exploit this? They can set the unit price at an astronomical level. What can we do about that if that happens? So a normal price over 2 years, but an astronomical sum for a single service. Now, paragraph 16 sets out certain conditions. So a second contract cannot be entered into unless the existing contract will expire in less than 3 months and the service set out under the existing contract will be used up under the existing contract. You can enter into a new contract if the new contract covers a new service. So how do we define the service just to make sure no one can exploit this? Thank you. We wanted to gather such feedback during the consultation period. Our point is to prevent unscrupulous traders from evading the regulation. Their first concern is breaking down the contract. Our preliminary idea is that when many contracts are signed on the same day, we can consider treating such contracts as one single contract. And also there was another concern about breaking down the services. We consider the venues for the service, the number of people involved. We want transparency in transactions. The traders will have to provide services on the transaction in the form of a memorandum, setting out the transaction fees, administration fees, just to avoid the astronomical sums. After Mr. Peter Xu speaks, I will draw the line. Mr. Chen Xiuhong, will we do a second round? We won't do a second round. Our meeting has to end at 7 p.m. Mr. Peter Xu. The cooling off period is a contentious issue. I cannot fully express the concerns of the beauty sector in 3 minutes. Simply put, we respect the spirit of the contract in Hong Kong. People have to think things through before they sign a contract. This is the long-established practice. In the past, there were coercive tactics or even people detained in a place. That's why we have the Trade Descriptions Ordinance. The Customs and Excise Department arrested people. In recent years, some large-scale fitness chains and also beauty centers entered into contracts involving unreasonably long contracts for seniors, and people are concerned, and that's why the government is trying to propose this change. But now people are spending their money in the mainland. The industry is already having a hard time. Let's start with the cooling off period. People can go to a service provider and pay in cash. The administrative fee applies only when the transaction is not paid in cash. So someone can use the service here for half a day. The service provider has to cover the utilities and operating costs, and then the next day the customer comes in, cancels the service. If the sum was settled in cash, the administrative fee doesn't apply. Now, of course, you can deduct the fee if the customer pays by credit card. But the credit card company charges a 2.6% service fee. A 5% fee may apply to installments, and in some cases, it's 8% over 18 months or 24 months. So a customer uses the service. The service provider has to cover not just the staff costs and the utilities. The operator will be operating at a loss. That's unfair to the trader. Allowing a refund without explanation is bad for the trader. We have to understand why the contracts are cancelled. Is it poor service? There should be a chance for people to explain so that we can have the records. Now I want to turn to the CNED. There's an industry concern about the CNED. If there's a cooling off period and people complain and the CNED freezes the company's assets, there's a concern that some traders may take the money and flee. But how many complaints would it take before the CNED freezes the assets? How do we know if the complainant's account is true? We need transparency on that. I get your concern, Mr. Xu. It's about an upcoming public consultation. At that point, you can express the industry's concerns. After the public consultation, there will be a legislative proposal, and then the CEDB will breathe LegCo, so there will be another chance for Mr. Xu to express his concerns. Secretary, Mr. Xu has voiced valid concerns. We want to strike a balance. We don't want the trade to suffer losses because of the cooling off period. Now, what if people settle by cash or settle by credit card, and then there are service fees for credit card? We will deal with that during the consultation period to make sure the traders won't suffer losses. We can explore a certain fee when people pay by cash. On an explanation for the refund, we have to protect traders to avoid misunderstanding that the trader is somehow unscrupulous. We can consider these points. On freezing assets, we don't just freeze the assets of a trader when one complainant comes forward, but when there's a flood of complaints, then we can consider freezing the assets of a trader to prevent this trader from fleeing. We can consider ways to protect the trader's interest at a later point. Singapore has its own approach. For beauty parlors, they pay something like a stamp duty when something goes wrong. Compensation comes out from that fund. Can we adopt a similar approach? So can we do something like stamp duty when something goes wrong? The compensation is paid out of the pool. Your time is up.
Mr. Webster, thank you. According to paragraph 14, I see that the government have made analysis on the complaints on beauty and fitness services contracts. Some SMEs are law-abiding shops. Can we have a two-tiered mechanism? For contracts at $8,000, we allow for a cooling period. For contracts above $8,000, there will be a mandatory cooling off period. For contracts lower than $8,000, there should be a voluntary cooling off period, for example. Because if we enforce a $3,000 contract threshold, then people may just set their contract at $2,999. Well, we are going to include a Section 13I of the TTO into Schedule 1 to the OSCO. Forensic accountants, investigation officers of the CNED may need to be engaged if we're going to include the schedule to the OSCD. If they don't have enough manpower, then no one can take law enforcement action. Thank you. I note your comment. Well, the $3,000, $8,000 threshold is just a preliminary idea. We're going to collect views from the sector. We need to also strike a balance. The CNED need to have enough staff to conduct investigation, but as to whether we should criminalize the offense, we will consult the trade before we make any decision and before we formulate a proposal for the support of the Legislative Council. Thank you. Next, Mr. Alan Chan. Thank you, Chairman. I thank the CNED for coming up with this proposal of a cooling off period and a statutory contract period. We remember that in September 2024, there was an incident involving customers of a large beauty company. I have a few questions. For beauty parlors, fitness centers, they are subject to many complaints. There is a large fitness center that went out of business despite signing contracts with many customers. When you enter a beauty salon or a fitness center, it's difficult for you to walk out of them if you don't sign a contract. Well, beautification and medical cosmetic service are different. For medical cosmetic service, it involves injections, and sometimes injections cost a large sum of money. Are they covered? If they are covered, then the threshold should be set higher. If the threshold is set too low at a level, then it's difficult for these medical cosmetic service providers to survive. How do you come up with a 7-day cooling off period and a 14-day refund period? I think that maybe 3 days is already enough, because I think that the 7-day cooling off period is too long. It will not be treated as a transaction or sale in accounting principles. Well, medical cosmetic service is included, but in terms of charges, we need to listen to the trade. For medical cosmetic service, the single service may charge a large sum of money, but very often long-term contract will not be signed between the beauty center and the customers. Well, for the 7-day cooling off period, we have made reference to many places. Some adopt 7 days, some 10 or 5 days as the period. We are of the view that 7 days is appropriate for the cooling off period, and there should be enough time for the customers to consider whether they should continue to proceed with the service. But if it's 3 days, I think it's too short. We think that 7 days is the middle ground and it should be fair for both parties. Thank you. Well, I think that most members have put their questions. It's my time. Now I will ask the administration to answer Mr. Hsu's question. I think that the right to know of the public for this consultation paper is important. So I know that the paper is titled Trade Description Ordinance, but this is too broad. Toothbrush, toothpaste, luxury goods are all goods, and they are all covered by the Trade Description Ordinance. The LegCo president is going to give members of the public an overview of the meetings of the LegCo. But when members of the public look at this title of the paper, they don't know what it is about. I wonder how the administration is going to conduct your consultation so that more people can speak on the amendment to the TDO. And that's what makes the consultation more effective. Thank you. For Mr. Hsu's question, we will consider the suggestion. We do not rule out any possibility. We will assess the benefits and disadvantage of all approaches. We may learn from Singapore, but each place has their own unique characteristics. We will consult the public under the title of prepaid consumption or prepayment mode of consumption. People may be more familiar with this phrase. Thank you. Well, we talked about fitness and beauty services. I wonder if the government will regulate other industries in the future. I hope that the government will clarify this, because if you just title the consultation as prepayment mode of consumption, you may receive feedback on industries other than beauty and fitness services industries. We want to pilot these two industries first. We want to send this message to the consumers and industry practitioners that the government is determined in combating illegal, aggressive commercial practices and unfair trade practices. We will clarify the goal of this consultation. Now it's almost time. Any other questions? I will allow members to put question. Any other member would like to ask more question? Mr. Chen Xiuhong and Mr. Xiu Ka-fai. After that, I will wrap up the meeting. Thank you. Well, in paragraph 11 of the paper, there is a note to the paragraph in the paper. It says, apart from including premises where one or more beauty or fitness services are provided, except those specific premises proposed for exemption. So what premises will be exempted? Mr. Xiu Ka-fai, please. In the paper, it is said that in the 2-year contract, if the customers want to buy from the relevant company again, they need to wait 3 months' time. I think that that's too short. I think that you should allow for half a year so that they can renew the contract. For beauty service, many different equipment can be involved and many massage techniques, oils are involved. I think that you need to consult the trade in detail and learn more about the procedures. Thank you. We will definitely listen to the trade. Regarding Mr. Chan's question, I will ask my colleague to answer it. We want to avoid over-regulation. For premises that are not engaged in unfair trade practices that will not be covered. Government, hospital authority, and its subsidiaries, Prince Philip Dental Hospital, schools and education institutions, charitable organizations, National Sports Association, clubhouses on private recreational leases, hotels and residential properties will be exempted. Thank you. The speaker is off mic. Hospital authority will not sign 2-year contract with their customers. I wonder why you exempt these premises. What's the logic behind that? Thank you. Let me clarify. Can you speak into the microphone? We adopt a risk-based approach based on the complaint statistics of the CNED. The premises that I named were not subject to complaints of unfair trade practices or aggressive commercial practices. Thank you. Well, that's the end of this item. Thank you for the consultation on prepayment mode of consumption. I believe that there will be no objection. I hope that the government will come to the LegCo soon. Are you asking us whether we support the proposal? Well, this is just a consultation. It's not at the legislative stage yet. You have another opportunity to speak on this item. Any other business? No AOB today. Meeting adjourned.